Experts. I'm your host, Barbara Balfour. On tonight's show, we'll be discussing a topic that's near and dear to many of your hearts: how to raise happy kids without losing yourself in the process. There's no question that having a child can come along with a tremendous identity crisis. Few things will change your life more drastically than becoming a parent. When all we see are glossy, stylized photos of smiling, happy families all dressed in white, it's bound to give you the wrong impression. The good news is that more and more mothers are coming forward and speaking out about the good, the bad, and the ugly side of parenthood. And tonight's guests are no exception. They're going to tell it like it really is. I'm so pleased to introduce our amazing lineup of guests tonight. First, we have Erica Fraser, creator of mombreak.ca, which you can also check out on Instagram. She's a brutally honest mom of two who works in marketing, loves champagne, and is addicted to Netflix. Erica doesn't drink enough water, she eats way too many mozzarella sticks, and shares things that people don't talk about so that moms can feel a little less lonely and have a little more fun being a mom. Welcome to the show, Erica.
Thank you so much for having me.
Next, we're joined by Carrie Owen, who is an accredited occupational therapist and the owner of Sweet Pea Therapy. She helps families with children who experience feeding challenges. She lectures at Canadian universities and leads workshops across the country on what to do if your toddler has suddenly gone on a hunger strike. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. It's great to be here.
Later on in the show, we're going to be joined by special guest Emma Pierce-Mogridge, who is the co-founder of a startup that makes sure that even busy moms have some time for self-care, and Tiffany Drummond, who is the owner of ProCare Family Center and a parenting consultant. They'll both be giving away some pretty fantastic prizes, so make sure that you stick around for that. And as always, our guests are here to answer your questions. So if you want to be part of the conversation, if you have anything that you'd like to ask our guests, please call us anytime at 613-728-1001. We're excited to hear from you. Now, ladies, I always start the show by asking guests how they got to this particular point in their lives. And Erica, I wanted to start with you. You have a very compelling story as someone who speaks very candidly about the journey of motherhood. Tell me a little bit about what made you decide to become so active and so vocal?
Yeah, so I had my first daughter. She's 3.5 years old now, and I spent most of her baby days thinking I was doing something seriously wrong, because I saw all of these glossy pictures and stories on Instagram of these moms who weren't having a difficult time feeding their children, or their kids were perfectly well behaved and not hitting and biting. And
everyone looks so good.
So good all the time. They lost their baby weight right away. They're not still, I'm still in a, it's just silly. It's not a realistic view of motherhood. And motherhood is the good, the bad, and the ugly. And given that I'd grown up having absolutely no filter, I figured I would turn it into a good use and started my blog where I could share the highlights as well as the challenges.
Now you have two children.
Oh yes, I forgot about the baby. He is 10 months old. He's so calm. I always forget about him. It's hard remembering that there's two of them all the time. And he's great. And the nice thing about it is that it's given me different perspectives along the way, because as we talked about earlier, no two children are the same. Yeah. And there's challenges and there's great things about both of them.
Absolutely. And Carrie, you're a mom as well, and you are also focusing on helping parents who have feeding challenges with their kids. What made you decide to pursue this line of work?
Well, definitely as a mom, I was very involved in feeding, but also as an occupational therapist, we focus very much on activities of daily living. And eating and feeding is one of the biggest areas. So in my career as an OT, I started with teenagers and I worked my way all the way down to neonates. And I really saw parents, both mom and dads, struggling with trying to get their child to feed, because as a parent, you really feel that's your role, is to get your child to eat. So I wanted to offer a service where you take some of that feeling of guilt, some of that pressure away, and really help guide them to make it a pleasurable experience.
And guilt seems to be a huge theme in motherhood, especially in those early days. Erica, you gave us a video, a really cute video where you had some creative ways of getting your child to eat, and you just spoke very openly about some of the challenges. Maybe we can pull that up here for our audience.
We're having a bath because... Why are we having a bath?
I pee in my dress.
She peed in her dress twice today. Just stood there and just peed. I'm hoping it's a phase. very quickly escalated into me doing all the work, Austin crying, and Aubrey begging to watch TV and stealing candy. I don't know what I was thinking. Gotta hustle. Ah! It's like a dog. Oh, God. Am I a dog? Why are you looking at me? You're looking at me funny. I just realized I haven't changed my bark shit yet. Look, it like magically cleaned itself up. I got barf on both sides. I couldn't find Aubrey because she had just opened that big stash of candy. Sneaking candy in here. I was feeding Austin for a few minutes, letting Aubrey play by herself, and this is what I found. She told me she was feeding her cats. She lined up all of the old school glass plates and bowls for her cats.
Wow. So obviously patience is an important quality in motherhood.
Yeah, I've gotten, my store has definitely increased for sure. And it's funny, when we talked about the feeding, I for sure struggled with her. So I thought at the idea, I was so tired, tying a pepperette stick and a yogurt to a chair and letting her just, seemed like a great idea at the time.
Idea.
Probably not great lifelong eating skills, but at the moment she ate the food. It was dairy and protein, and she
it
ate
works.
it.
It works, right?
Survival.
And it's great that you have such a good sense of humor about it too.
You have to, right? Like, you can't take yourself too seriously, and if you do, you're just setting yourself up for failure, and it's not fun. What's the point in not having fun? You have to enjoy yourself.
You made it fun for her, and then it took the pressure away from the eating.
That's a great point. Thank you.
We have a caller on the line. Wendy, are you with us?
Hi.
Hi, Wendy. Thanks so much for watching. Did you have a question for our guest?
Yes. I've actually just recently given birth, and I just want to know how I'd be able to incorporate my social life and my kid together without losing my friends.
That's a really good point.
Can I ask a question back?
Yes, of course.
Sure.
Do your friends have kids? The ones that you
No.
have? No. So you're one of the first ones with kids.
Yeah.
Okay, that's hard. That's a difficult.
Like, they have older kids, but I have a new baby, and so we usually go camping, and they have older kids, so they like to go camping with them. But with me and a newborn, I'm kind of like stuck in the middle between choosing whether I want to stay home with my kid or go camping with my friends.
It's so hard because I found myself in my personal situation that the people I'm now closest with are the ones that I've reconnected to who have kids the exact same age or within the same age range. And I found them in different playgroups around the city, or just literally going to a park and having no shame and just starting to be like, "Hi, I'm Erica.
Absolutely.
What's your kid's name?" I mean, no shame, right? And there's so many different programs in the city. And you can message me on Mum Break on Instagram, mum.break, and I can send you some of the links to the ones that I found as well. But there's so many options.
I think the groups where moms get together, you have the children there, and you have an opportunity to share about the frustrations, your loneliness, and then you have a chance to enjoy being with some adults as well and fostering that relationship that you're missing a little bit when you're feeling you're more stuck at home.
And everything's a season too, right, with parenting. I know you have older kids, so you're going through very similar stages with people in that age, right? So the ones that have older kids, it's going to be hard to relate to them. That would be very isolating, I'd find.
Does that help, Wendy?
Yes, it does. I'll definitely message you on Instagram then.
Thank you so much for watching. Thank you. I want to talk about postpartum depression because it's a topic that's really getting discussed more and more these days. What are your thoughts, Erica? Had you encountered that, or anyone close to you gone through it?
Absolutely. So I had postpartum depression for both my children, and they manifested very differently for both kids, which is what I wasn't expecting. It was so surprising.
You sent us a photo, an interesting photo of yourself with postpartum depression and yourself without postpartum depression. Let's pull that up. Basically, you can't really tell by looking at someone whether or not they have postpartum depression.
Absolutely not. And one of those things too that people don't talk about leading up to having children. So it's not something that's built into the birth plan, and it's not something that's built into the postnatal care as much as I think it should be. And you really never know. I hid it very well. No one had any idea for my first. And my second, of course, I shared everything. I was very candid about it.
How do you know that it's postpartum depression? I have a theory with some of my friends that postpartum depression, not the most serious version of it, but it may be a form of socially unacceptable buyer's remorse, that you're sort of, you have this kid and you don't know what you got yourself into, and you're thinking, what have I done? How much of that is normal? How much of that is something that's just going to pass and you'll be okay? And when do you know that you need some help?
So I think that exact emotion is very normal for all moms, because like we talked about, you're changing your complete identity when you have children. You go from living a certain way for so many years and decades to a completely new life where every single detail in your life has changed. So I think that postpartum depression, often people think it only exists if you're ready to throw your kids over a bridge. That's the extreme case, but there's so many other spectrums along the way. It could just be that you're struggling to get out of the house and talk to people. It could just be that, for me, with Austin, I really struggled with anxiety. So with Aubrey, it was primarily with depression. And with Austin, I was feeling anxious if the house was messy or things were out of place. And I noticed it was very heightened compared to when I didn't have a newborn.
So
and it could be small.
How did you deal with that?
I went to a lot of therapy.
So it's mostly talk therapy as opposed to medication?
Yeah, I worked through it with therapy. I never got to the point with medication, but it's one of those things where I accepted that I had it, and you know what, if I'm spending time cleaning my kitchen, it's not the end of the world because it's going to make me feel better. People comment to me all the time, wow, your house is so clean. Well, you can't judge a book by its cover because it's clean, because I'm anxious about it and it's causing me like heart palpitations.
Right. Carrie, have you had experiences with that yourself?
Not myself. I was very fortunate, but definitely in my career, I've worked with a lot of families, and it can be extremely challenging when the mother with a postpartum depression gets to the point that she might need hospitalization or she might need medication. She was a primary breastfeeding mom, and then I have to step in to help the co-parent,
We're
often
about to
the
go to
dad.
break, but I want to hear more about some of your tips and strategies, what to do when your toddler is on a hunger strike, and more. We'll be right back after the break.